Three, two, one. What's up, guys? It's your boy Yeet here, and I'm coming at you today with my Thunder Dragon deck profile for 11, 13, 19. I have been playing this deck for a while now, and I told you back in a long time ago on my Prank Kid Thunder Dragon deck profile that I would be bringing you a Thunder Dragon deck profile. Now, for the longest time, I was playing a pure variant, and I was currently on an undefeated streak with that variant, and then I was realizing a problem with a couple of my matches. Even though I won in the third game, is that I was losing to Nibiru. And so I was like, I need a counter to Nibiru. And ever since I added this counter tech into my Thunder Dragon deck against Nibiru, I have also, again, been undefeated. But this time my record has been more consistent. So I'm going to be showing you my card choices and explaining to you everything that I want to say in this deck, and then possibly, depending on my time at the end of this video, I will show you some of my combos. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe down below. Also, comment down below what you think about my deck or any deck suggestions you think that should be implemented into this deck. I have tried to make this a bit more budget, but I just put it this way. I'm not playing Phantasmic. That's about it. Everything else in this deck is about as good as you can get it for this deck. So without further ado, let's get started with this deck profile. Also, I should say that the deck is 43 cards, not 40, 43 on the dot. 15 extra deck, 15 side, but 43 card main deck. All right, let's get started. For, of course, some monsters, we are, of course, playing the original 3 Thunder Dragon. It's a very good staple in this deck. You discard it to add up to 2 more copies of itself from your deck, up to 2 more copies of itself from the deck to the hand. You cannot, if 2 of them are already in the graveyard and you have 1 in the hand, you cannot discard the 3rd card to attempt to search a 3rd if there's no one in the deck. So you just be aware of that. But it's a very good, it helps proc off Thunder Dragon Titan very well, and it's just a very good Thunder Dragon card in general. Next off, we are playing 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Darak, the core searcher of a Thunder Dragon deck. So Thunder Dragon Darak basically has the quick effect of discarding itself to add another copy of Thunder Dragon Darak from the deck to the hand. But it also has the ability that if it's sent from the field to the graveyard or banished, you can add 1 Thunder Dragon card from your deck to your hand, except Thunder Dragon Darak. But you can only use 1 Thunder Dragon Darak effect once per turn, and only once that turn. So all Thunder Dragon cards except Thunder Dragon, the original, has the ability that there only 1 effect of it can only be used once per turn. So if you pitch it to add a Thunder Dragon Darak, you cannot use the effect to add a Thunder Dragon Darak, to add a Thunder Dragon card from a deck to your hand if you are banishing or sent from the field to the graveyard. So you have to be picky on which ones you do. So this deck is a kind of sort of like a big brain deck, but if you know the combos and it just becomes second nature to you, then the difficulty becomes less the more you play it. But that's Thunder Dragon Darak. And when I mean Thunder Dragon card that it adds, it does not have to be a Thunder Dragon monster. It can be a Thunder Dragon spell too, so it helps search out Thunder Dragon Fusion. Next up, we are playing 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Roar. The recycler of my deck, in a sense, and also is really, I like to call him. So Thunder Dragon Roar has the ability to pitch itself to add a Thunder Dragon card that is banished or in the graveyard, except Thunder Dragon Roar, back to the hand. So what a good combo with this is that if Dark is in the banish zone and you used it to add a card, you can then pitch Roar to re-add the Dark, which is really, really good. But Roar has another effect. The other effect of Roar is that if it's banished, you can special summon 1 Thunder Dragon monster from your deck in defense position, and then it returns to the hand during the end phase, no matter which turn it's summoned. And like all the other Thunder Dragon cards, you can only use 1 Thunder Dragon Roar effect once per turn. Oh, no, I'm just gonna put that over here. Excuse me. Next up, we are, of course, playing 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Hawk. This is probably the greatest Thunder Dragon card I love in this deck. So Thunder Dragon Hawk is the special summoner. So you can pitch Thunder Dragon Hawk to target one of your Thunder Dragon cards that is in Thunder Dragon monsters that is in your banished or in your graveyard, except Hawk, and then special summon it. And if this card is also banished, it's basically like a reload for the deck, except you get to pick the amount of cards that you want to reshuffle into the deck and then draw that same amount of cards. So it's not only just a refresher, but it's special summoner. So if you banish Dark, you add Hawk, you can discard Hawk and then remove special summon Dark. It's a very, very good combo, and it's a very, very good extender. So yeah, you must play 3 Hawk. And the last card, Thunder Dragon, next card we play is Thunder Dragon Matrix. So Thunder Dragon Matrix is debatable. In some cases, people play 2. I happen to disagree with that. You must play 3 of every single Thunder Dragon card, except Duo. But because they're just you blow through them so much, and I've quite literally gone through all my Thunder Dragon cards in my deck in the grind game, quite literally to the point where there was no Duo, no Matrix, no Hawk, no nothing. I grinded through everything, and of course that one matchup had to be against a banished deck, which I ended up losing. But that's the banished deck, and this deck very much so loses to banished cards like Eater of Millions. Eater of Millions just goes right through Titan and Colossus. It's just a disaster, but we don't talk about that. But yeah, you must play 3 copies of every Thunder Dragon card. Now, Matrix's effects. You can pitch it to target a Thunder monster on my field, and it gains 500 attack and defense. 500 attack. So it's very good. So if you have, it's also a quick effect that you can play during the turn. So Dark and Matrix are really good for proccing your Thunder Dragon Titan during your opponent's turn. So Matrix not only does Matrix just like provide a power up boost, but also if a Matrix is sent from the field or banished, you can add another Matrix from your deck to your hand. Now the other cool part about this is that it's a level 1. So, and it's also a normal, so the fact that it's level 1 not only means it's a normal summon, so if your hand is really bad, you can at least normal summon a Matrix and at least discard a Thunder Dragon card to activate the card, and then tribute the Matrix to go into Colossus, and then banish Colossus to go into Titan, or you can just sit on Colossus. Sometimes I had to do that just because my hand was somewhat bad, but at least this way you had something to do. Not only is it level 1, you also can go off into Link Karibo if you wanted to, a good release center. So Thunder Dragon Matrix is a very good start-off card in the deck. You don't want to start, it's not the greatest in the world, but it's not terrible either. You can still make plays if you're going first or you're going second. So yeah, 3 Thunder Dragon Matrix. Next off, some people say that I should be playing 1. I happen to disagree. I think 2 is a very, very, very solid number for this card. And it is 2 copies of Thunder Dragon Duo. So Thunder Dragon Duo is like Chaos Sorcerer. You have to banish 1 light and 1 dark monster from your graveyard to special summon this card. It is not an effect that effectively activates from him. It's a summoning. So if you activate this card, it will not proc Titan. But Duo's effect is really, really good. It's a 2800 beater that I can use to get over stuff like Scythe. It comes up a lot for me, and not only will it proc my Thunder Dragon cards that I banish for it, it's a recycler. So Thunder Dragon Duo has the effect that once per turn, if a monster effect is activated in the hand, it will gain 300 attack, which can come up. But then when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, I can banish 1 card in my graveyard. Does not have to be a Thunder monster. Could be any card. And then add 1 Thunder monster from your deck to your hand. And then also, once per turn during your opponent's end phase, you can target one of your banished cards and place it on the top or bottom of your deck. So this card will come up. If it survives my opponent's turn, I quite literally will get to choose any card in my banish zone and put it on the top or bottom. I pretty much will choose top of my deck to guarantee that I will draw a card that will help me go off into plays. So it's really good. And the best part about this is you can loop and recycle the 2 duos. That's why I say you play 2, because the 2 duo, you banish the 1 duo for cost, and then you can recycle the other duo back in the deck, and then this one goes to the graveyard. It's just great. It's also a level 8 monster, so it helps me get off into Sanafon, the Sky Prison as well. So yeah, I think 2 Thunder Dragon Duo is a great card. And if you really don't like playing 2 cards, I at least do it in the main deck, and then when it comes off into side, you can take out a Thunder Dragon Duo. That's why I choose this. So how I built my deck is I have 43 cards, so there's always something I can take out that will not hinder the deck that I can put in a side tech card, and it won't hinder the deck at all. So yeah, 2 duo. That's it for the Thunder Dragon monsters. Off into the hand traps. We play 2 copies of Dimension Shifter. Some people say this card sucks, and I actually sometimes will happen to agree. But at the same time, it's a dark card, so it's a great card for Allure of Darkness. It's also a very good card in today's meta. Pitching this at the start of my opponent's turn or my turn for a quick effect to make all their cards go banished instead will hinder them a lot, but it will do nothing for me, because if I start off with a Batteryman Solar and I already pitch D-Shifter, I just straight up get an effect activated, which is essentially a gold sarcophagus for me. So D-Shifter is very good. If you need to realize that D-Shifter is actually going to help your opponent, you will side this card out and for something else. But yeah, 2 D-Shifter, very good in my opinion. I also am playing one of the most generic hand traps of the entire meta is 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Don't look at that last one. I know it's not the new Lolly, but I happen to have a 3rd Lolly, and I kind of like having different arts of each of the cards. But yeah, so the Ash Blossoms is really, really good. If you don't know what Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring does, I don't know where you've been for Yu-Gi-Oh's metas, because Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is quite literally the greatest hand trap, and it came in the gold sin, so it's very accessible. It's not there. I did have 3 of these cards before the new one came out, but I just like the new art as well. But yeah, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And now for the last hand trap, I do play a total of 6 hand traps in the deck, and you're going to be like, yeah, boy, what are you doing playing this card? It doesn't really do much, but I play the 1 copy of Nibiru, the Primal Being. Yeah, I main Nibiru, and I only play the 1 Nibiru. Now, even though I have 3 copies, I actually only play the 1 Nibiru because, number 1, I was really tight on side deck and main deck spot. I didn't really want to go over 43. 43 has been a solid number working for me, but Nibiru is one of those cards that people like, oh, this card's really going to break the meta, but you see some people playing it. Like I saw Jesse Cotton playing 3 copies of Nibiru, but I play just the 1 Nibiru, just quite literally as like the threat. So if I open it and my opponent will go over it, then it's great. But if my opponent is not going to do it, has a deck that can easily play around the Nibiru, then we will side out the Nibiru for something else. It's just the threat there, and then it's not really going to be used. Then you can use it as discard fodder. It can be helpful in great ways, but most of the time I've just sided this card out, and it did come up in some matchups. So yeah. The 1 copy of Nibiru. That's for 6 hand traps. Now off into the rest of the monsters for the deck. We have a lot of normal summons in the deck to get into our combos, but this is a little bit different. So I play 2 copies of Batteryman Solar. I play 3 copies of Batteryman Solar. So Batteryman Solar, like I said, is one of the greatest, I think the best start off for Thunder Dragons, or at least for my variant. I play the Instant Fusion variant. So Thunder Dragon Solar, not only, like I said, you can combo it with D-Shifter, but you basically pitch a Thunder monster, and then you can essentially just recycle the Thunder card. It's really good, and if a Thunder monster is no more special summon while you have Thunderman Solar on your field, you basically generate a token, which in other words is my free Summer Summoner, so that's really good for combo plays. And I have sided off the 1 Batteryman Solar just to equalize there. So yeah, the 1 Batteryman Solar, Nibiru. There's a lot of cards you can side out of this deck, but it's really good and consistent. So 3 Batteryman Solar. The other normal summons we are playing in the deck is 2 copies of Aloof Lupine. Some people will play 2, some people play 3. I prefer to play 3 and 2. It's up to personal preference, honestly. I've tried out both ways, and I just preferably like this build. But Aloof Lupine is like a second Allure of Darkness. So you can banish a Thunder monster from your hand and then banish a Thunder monster from your deck. That's the banish the Thunder monster from your hand is cost. So if you then negate Lupine, you will at least get 1 effect of the Thunder Dragon cards. And if the Lupine is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a Thunder monster from your from your banish and add it back to your hand. So it's a really good recycler and also a very good start off to go off into your plays. Now the next is my actual tech into this. A lot of you will barely ever see anybody play this engine inside a Thunder Dragon deck, but oh my god, I tell you this right now, I played a 45 card deck last time when I was at my locals, and I just blew house out of water. I am playing the Invoker engine inside my Thunder Dragon deck. Now, I'm not playing 2 Alistairs, but Alistair at... I'm not playing 3 Alistairs, but I'm playing 2 Alistairs, because I'm not using Air Menage, but if I did use Air Menage, I'd probably bump this up to 3 and take out a Solar just so there. But I've been just trying this out for right now, and I think the 2 Alistairs is great. So Alistair the Invoker can use its, what I like to call it, special ability, Invosight, to search out invocation from your deck to your hand, and also has the ability of being like a hand trap in a sense, like a Honest. So you can discard Alistair, then target any fusion monster. Does not have to be an invoked fusion monster. Any fusion monster, and it gains 1000 attack and defense. It's very good for people who are just trying to beat over Titan or really stupidly negated Colossus and then just trying to beat over Colossus. The Alistair the Invoker can discard it and then basically protect my Titan or Colossus by adding 1000. It's very good, very clutch, and it's also a dark monster that you can use to banish with Lure of Darkness. And then if so, let's say they banished, they negated the invocation. Use a Lure of Darkness, draw 2, banish the Alistair, then recycle the invocation in Alistair. It's essentially a +1. It's very good for consistency, but if you're not playing Air Menage, keeping this at 2 is a pretty good staple. So yes, that's it for the monsters for the deck. I know we play a just absurd amount of monsters in this deck, but you basically use all of them, and I love this deck to an nth degree. Now on to the spells. We do not play a single trap card in this entire deck. We play 2 copies of Invocation. Even though I'm only playing 2 Alistairs, 2 Invocation is really good because if they negate one and you drew the other Alistair and you don't have an Alistair banished, it's just good to search out the other Invocation, just having a backup. You can side out the second Invocation, or you can just side out the Alistair engine in general, which I can do as well, but I just like options. But having the 2 Invocation in the deck is just really good. I would not play a third, and nor do I side a third. 2 Invocation is good enough for me, even though I only play 2 Alistairs in the main deck. So yeah, Invocation. So if you don't know what Invocation does, you can basically fusion summon an extra deck for a fusion monster. If you're summoning invoked, you can banish monsters from your field and or either player's graveyard as fusion materials. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Alistair, add it back to your hand, and shuffle Invocation back into the deck. Really good. You're never going to deck out if you're somehow was going to deck out, but you never would. It's just a really good card, and this is why I think this card is great for Nibiru, because this plus any one of my light monsters like Hawk or Matrix will give you Makaba, and Makaba can negate and banish Nibiru or any monster that will be problematic and you going off into plays. It also can summon Kalega, which is another invoked card I'm playing, and it will stop your opponent from activating card effects or going off into their plays that will need it to like search a card or do anything for like that. Even though Kalega will hurt for you, you basically can use Kalega to make sure if they don't start with super polymerization, they're not going off into plays. That's basically just how it's going to go. Because they can only activate 1 card effect per turn. It doesn't matter if it's monster, spell, or trap, only 1. Which is what's good, but at the same time, on your next turn, you're probably going to link away Kalega so that way you can go off into place. That's just how it's going to go. But yeah, Invocation, really good. Next off, for the spell cards in the deck, we are, of course, playing Thunder Dragon Fusion. Now, I am playing 3 copies of it instead of 2. Some people will play 2. I like 3 for ultimate consistency, and also it's just like another searcher. I will probably, if I just open up Thunder Dragon Fusion, I can just like play Thunder Dragon Fusion, shuffle from my hand to the deck, and then we're good. It's not from my hand, or it's face up from the field, graveyard, and or banished. Sorry, I forgot about that. I'm thinking about Invocation, but yeah, so Thunder Dragon Fusion, really good. You cannot use the effect of banish and add a Thunder Dragon card the turn you use it to fusion summon. But however, if Thunder Dragon Fusion is banished, on the turn you add a card, you can use it to recycle the fusion if you add Roar. So it's really, really good. I like Thunder Dragon Fusion. I never once regretted the fact that I played 3 Thunder Dragon Fusion. I really liked seeing it in my opening hand instead of having to always search for it with Dark. I'd rather search for something else with Dark. But yeah, 3 Thunder Dragon Fusion, I think it's really good at 3. Next up, of course, we are playing 3 copies of Instant Fusion. So Instant Fusion has a few targets, like Thousand Eyes, Restrict, even Kalega is level 5, or Commandery Attack for your Colossus play. But it's also, I just think it's a really good extender, and sometimes people will pay a card to negate your Instant Fusion, which it won't hinder you as much. But if I always open up with Instant Fusion and Battery Man Solar, I'm pretty much going to end on a Titan and a link to probably some Summoner. So yeah, Instant Fusion, really good card. Really, really, really good. I like it a lot. Next off, that's it for like our fusion cards. Next off, for our consistency cards, you must play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Now, I gotta say something. Even with my 2 Alistairs in this deck, Allure of Darkness only has 14 Dark Monsters in my deck. And you're like, well then why are you playing so many light monsters? Take out a couple of light monsters and play into your dark. Well, I would, except I could also just side them in or out. But you also have very well consistency of adding like cards from your deck to your hand, or recycling cards from your banished back into your hand, or in your graveyard back to your hand, using your Thunder Dragon cards or Alistair and Invocation. So you're always going to have a dark monster in your hand, and it's just very good to get through your deck. It's essentially a +1. It's very, very good. You must play this card. I'm sorry that it's $7 and growing, but you must play Allure of Darkness. It took me forever to get 3 copies of this card. You need it. You just need this card. So it draws 2 and then banishes a dark monster. I forgot to even mention what Allure of Darkness does, but it's just draw 2, banish dark monster, and you really want to do that because a lot of your Thunder Dragon cards like to activate when they're banished. So the Allure of Dark, and they're pretty much, some of them are dark. So Allure of Darkness will banish your dark card, and then I can't say enough about that card. That card is fantastic. We play the 1 limited to 1 gold sarcophagus. This card essentially just is like, okay, so it's any Thunder Dragon I want my deck to activate effect. Excellent. Gold sarcophagus. You banish dark, add a card, just go off into plays, banish roar, special summon. There's a bunch you can do with gold sarcophagus. If this card was unlimited, not limited to 1, I'd be playing 3. It's that good. Last card in the deck is 1 copy of 1 for 1. You're like, why are you playing this card? I'll tell you why. So if I already de-shifted, 1 for 1 will pitch a card. Now it says set from the hand to the graveyard. If it does not hit the graveyard, you still get the effect. This is a judge ruling that I have already asked many times, and people have questioned me on it. It still gets the effect because you are attempting it to send to the graveyard, and then you special summon 1 from your hand to your deck. So essentially, you're pitching a Thunder Dragon card if you have de-shifted in your graveyard. So let's say you already have. Let me find a de-shifter. So let's say you already have de-shifter in your graveyard, okay? You're going to, let's say, pitch a Thunder Dragon Darak from your hand, and then essentially you will get a search, and you will also get a Matrix from your deck, which is the only level 1 you are playing in the deck, but that is very, very fine, because that will let you just go off into Colossus, Link Haribo. It's just good. And you could sign out 1 for 1, but I personally loved 1 for 1 and do not regret it. And I don't know why people are not playing 1 for 1. I just think 1 for 1 is a really good extender of the deck. So, yeah, that's it for the main deck. Like I said, 43 cards. Let's go off into the extra deck. We are, of course, since this is a Thunder Dragon deck, we are, of course, playing 3 Big Daddy, or my 3 Thunder Dragon Titan. So Titan is 3 Thunder Dragon cards must be either Fusion Summon or Special Summon by banishing 1 Thunder Fusion monster and 1 Thunder monster from your hand. So, yeah, really good. Quick effect during either player's turn. When a card Thunder Monster's effect is activated from the hand, even during the damage deck, quick effect, destroy 1 card on the field. If this card will be destroyed by card effect, not battle, just card effect, you can banish 2 cards from your graveyard instead, any cards from my graveyard. Now, we were saying, like, I've only gone into, like, 2, but I'll tell you why I play 3. Because sometimes the 3 will come up, and you need the 3rd just so you can activate the Thunder Dragon Fusion. If you've gone in 2 and you're just trying to use, like even resummon another Titan. You can just reshuffle, recycle the Titans, but 3 is just good just so you have a way of activating Thunder Dragon Fusion. It's just really good, and it's a really, really good card. Probably the second best card in the Thunder Dragon deck. And of course, probably the best card, and the reason why Thunder Dragon has been so good in this deck, of course, my boy Sparky. We play 3 copies of Thunder Dragon Colossus. Now, you can already tell these are not the one Colossus that I got, which was like $45 a long time ago, isn't here. I had to sell it to make this deck, but I ended up getting 3 ultra rare Colossuses instead. But of course, Sparky, your opponent cannot search, tribute any Thunder monster to summon this card, and this card actually is the one that can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, so you can banish 1 Thunder monster from your graveyard instead, but you have to have a Thunder monster, which is another why I'm placing Solar, so you can just always guarantee to have at least 2 Thunder monsters in your graveyard for double protection of Colossus. Great cards. Probably the best reason why Thunder Dragon deck exists. Next off, we are playing the Commandery Attack, Instant Fusion target, great for going into Colossus, Thousand Eyes Restrict, another level 1 for Linkuriboh, and a pure skill drain for the field. It also will take a problematic card from my opponent, and then I can link that away to the graveyard for Linkuriboh. Great card, great play it, you must play it. For the Invoke Fusion cards, I main deck the 1 Makaba and the Kalega, but let's go. I'm going to explain them each one by one, so I'll put Kalega over to the side here for now. Is Makaba. So Makaba, like I already said, you can ditch a monster spell or trap to negate the activation of that card and banish it. It's a once per turn effect. It's Alistair the Invoker's light monster, so it's Alistair plus 1 light monster. Great card. And then, like I said, I played the 1 Kalega. Is another instant fusion target, but Kalega is like also a pure negation drain. So even though it's the weakest of all the invoked cards, it's just really good for me to banish a Darak and something else to get off plays with Kalega or stop my opponent from plays. A lot of dark monsters in the meta, so really banishing off a card from their graveyard that's necessity is just really good for Kalega. Now, if I will end up having to put in one of my other 2 invoked fusion monsters that I'm playing in the side deck, Kalega is going to probably be the first one to go because I need Makaba more than I need Kalega. But yes, Kalega is in the main deck. Next off, we are playing Psyframe Lord Lambda. Psyframe Lord Lambda, generic level 2 monster. It's just, I run it in there for the 2 level 2 and it's a 17k beater. I do not play the Omega combo. I just want the Lambda because it's a Lambda and it's a light monster. Summer Summoner, it's probably the generic thing I will end off of if I open up Solar. Quick effect during my opponent's turn, discard 1 card, target Thunder monster in my graveyard, and special summon, except the Link monster, special summon to a zone this card points to. You cannot use this effect to bring back a Titan or a Colossus because they can only be fusion summoned through their effect and must be special summoned by doing their own effect. You cannot special summon them by other ways. So that's a note. People ask me why I can't do that. You just really can't. Then I'm playing 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld, another generic level 2 Dark Monster protection card, really good. Now you're noticing something right now, and you're thinking, where's my Borreload? Where's my Nightmare Unicorn? I don't play Nightmare Unicorn in this deck, nor is it in the side deck. I do, however, side the Borreload Dragon. I really haven't ever made Borreload Dragon unless I've actually inside the mirror match. And if I am in the mirror match, then I will side out the 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld, and I will put in the Borreload Dragon. Truth be told, this deck really doesn't need to go into Link monsters. It's more of a fusion deck. That's why I'm only playing the 3 generic level 2 and Linkuriboh as my only Link monsters in the deck, because that's pretty much all you'll need. And to go off into your plays, you don't ever want to extend, because most likely you're just want to go into Colossus or Titan. So I think the 3 level 2s is better over the Nightmare Unicorn, which will make maybe like a 0.5% chance, and Borreload Dragon you only make in the mirror match. So, but if I'm realizing that I don't need to do this, then I will side out the B-Cop and just put in the Borreload just to confuse some people. It's really good, in my opinion, and I think the 3 level 2s is better than just always maining the Borreload Dragon. It's just, in my opinion, the best way to play that. So, like I said, the Linkuriboh, you can get this either by off a Matrix or your Thousand Eyes Restrict. Linkuriboh it's just there. If I did get Air Menage, I'd probably be taking out the Beat Cop from the Underworld for it, but I would still always be playing Linkuriboh because this is the reasons. And then the last card in the extra deck is, of course, number 68, Santa Fawn the Sky Prison. This card is essentially Necro Valley for the deck and only for your opponent. It's just a really, really good card in my opinion. And you can make this easily with 2 Colossus or a Colossus and a duo, or 2 duos, or 2. It doesn't really, as long as it's 2 level 8 monsters, it's easy accessible and only make it. And if you realize that you don't need Santa Fawn in the match, you can take out Santa Fawn, keep the 2, and then put in the Bora Load or an Invoke card. So the extra deck is flexible, and yes, some people will never side an extra deck card, but I personally do. But that is it for the extra deck. On to the side deck. So side deck, like I said, I do play the 1 Bora Load Dragon inside the side deck. If you don't know what Bora Load Dragon does, I'm sorry for you kids, but it's been around for a long time. You get up with the meta, please. Bora Load Dragon, other invoked fusion monsters I play are Megalinika and Purgatrio. I do not play Cocytus. Cocytus is not needed. Water monsters are not really floating around. You're like, why are you playing Megalinika? No, there's not a lot of earth monsters. Yes, there is. I see some people playing, there's Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, which I personally play. There's, I'm trying to think. There's some of the 6 Samurai monsters. There's some extra deck and link monsters that are earth cards. I have gone into Megalinika a couple of times, and it just is really good for beating over some problematic card. It does come up, and like some people say, oh, don't play Megalinika, play something else that would be useful. I'm sorry, but I think Megalinika is just really good, and if you don't want to take Megalinika, of course, let's play something else. Like I said, this is personal preference for me. Then Purgatrio. So Purgatrio is my out for Salamangreat cards to banish Salamangreat problematic cards. Banish that Gazelle from the graveyard. Banish pretty much anything I need that's problematic for them in the graveyard and that I want to get rid of that's a fire card. It can also be helpful to banish an Ass Blossom and Joy Spring from the graveyard. It's basically also a Neo's, what is that card? Elemental Hero, Neo Warrior. The Neo's card that's Neo's +1 Warrior monster to attack all cards. Basically, Purgatrio gains 200 attack for each card your opponent controls. That's monster, spell, trap, field spell. And this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. If this card attacks the defense monster, it affects piercing damage. Really good for controlling against Salamangreats. That's personally pretty much for the only reason why it's in here, or unless I want to confuse my opponent, switch out Kalega and put in Purgatrio. That's pretty much the only side deck cards, the only extra deck cards I play in the side deck, but I do play them. Next off, I play the 3rd copy of Alistair the Invoker. If I really want to play the three invoke cards and I take out the Santa Fawn for it, then I will play the 3rd Alistair for the 3rd Solar. Denko Senka for spell and track card control. I can put this card at any time and it's easily searchable off a Thunder Dragon Fusion as well. Great card. 2 copies of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. Not only will it help me get into Megalinika, but this card is very, very good in today's meta. So, Called by the Grave, this card stops it. I once played an Invocation and a mirror match. This card stopped it. This card stops a card for like Eater of Millions, which is problematic for this deck. I personally love playing Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, so it's really good. And I always have a rule of having exactly 6, no more, no less, of hand trap cards. So if you have to put Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion in, take out 1 Ash and 1 Dimension Shifter. Or take out the Nibiru and 1 Ash. Just always have 6. I never will go over more than 6. Next off, I'm playing 2 copies of DD Crow. DD Crow is very good, stopping Salamangreat matchups or cuss matchups. Cards that really like to rely on using effects from the graveyard. DD Crow is a great siding card. It also is a dark card for Allure of Darkness. If you need to banish it for Allure of Darkness, there you go. It's just a decent card. It's also, again, one of the hand traps, so I will always play 6 of the hand traps. This card is not a hand trap, on the other hand. However, I do play it, and this card is just, I think, the better, especially for this deck version of like Artifact Lancia. And that is the 1 Chaos Hunter. So Chaos Hunter not only is a dark card you can banish for Allure of Darkness, but you basically can discard 1 card and then special on this card from your hand whenever your opponent specials on a monster, except during the damage step, which is like they're essentially going to do in this meta. And then your opponent cannot banish cards. You can still banish cards, but your opponent cannot. What the downside of Lancia is, if you use Lancia effect, you yourself cannot banish cards as well. Chaos Hunter, on the hand, still not only is a good card you can banish for ruler, but you still can allow yourself to banish, which is why Chaos Hunter I preferably play over Artifact Lancia. If you don't like Chaos Hunter, go ahead, still play Lancia, but there's also another reason why I'm playing Chaos Hunter, and that's because I'm also siding in the one copy of I also side the one copy of Eradicator Epidemic Virus. So it fits. Epidemic Virus requires a tribute of a dark monster that is 2,500 attack or more, and choose spell or track cards. And basically, it's like crush card virus for them. And Chaos Hunter fits the requirement of Epidemic Virus. So that's why Chaos Hunter's in here. So yeah, like I said, I play the one copy of Epidemic Virus in here as well. I also am playing 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This card will help me get rid of cards like Anti-Spell Fragments, Field Spells, anything that's problematic, or any back row in general. Cosmic Cyclone is a very good generic side-in card to just help out in a lot of matchups, alter guys, just anything in general that uses a spell card, I probably will side in Cosmic Cyclone for. Really good removal, easily accessible through the gold tins. Next, I'm playing the 1 copy of Anti-Spell Fragrance. Anti-Spell Fragments, good against Sky Strikers, and then the last card in the side deck is Royal Decree, good against trap decks, Alter Guys, Paleozoics, cards that in general that use trap cards. Royal Decree goes in. Never play more than both of these, because honestly, if I play more of them, it's going to clog and hurt myself, especially if I play more than 1 Spell Fragrance, because we play a lot of spells in our deck. But that is it for the side deck, and that is also it for the deck in general. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, but I am actually going to show you one last thing, and that is the optimized board that you will sometimes end off with. So one board that you will sometimes end off with is a Titan over here, Summoner over here, and then I will have either Makaba or another Colossus, something like this over here. This is pretty much a board that I will end on like turn 1 or turn 2 that will basically, it'll be over here. That will stop me from being Nibiru, and then I can tribute this off and go into Colossus if I wanted to. But I will always probably have Makaba on the side, just so I can stop my opponent from Nibiruing me. So this is how you end Nibiru. This is the deck. This is my favorite Thunder Dragon deck right now. If you want to see the pure variant without the invoked, let me know in the comments below, and I will make that happen. But I wanted to bring you the build that I've been dealing with right now, and so far I've only lost 2 games out of my 12 that I'm playing, so I'm basically a 10-2 ratio. So, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe down below, and comment again on the deck and what you think of the deck. Without further ado, this is your boy Yeet signing out. Thank you, and have a fantastic day.